Hi, my name is Dana, and welcome to my presentation for Aotearoa New Zealand Society Assignment 3. There is an overwhelming amount of research to support the astonishing rates of child abuse in New Zealand. New Zealand has one of the highest rates of child abuse in all the developed countries, and these statistics are followed up with one of the highest rates of child death by maltreatment within the family. International studies have found that by age 15, 1 in 4 New Zealand girls have been sexually abused, which is the highest rate of any developed nations examined. Story after story of horrible acts of abuse are released through the media without any real follow-up to any solution, leaving many New Zealanders struggling to find a solution to this growing epidemic. Journalists often produce content that is very middle ground because it insulates themselves from criticism and gives their news legitimacy to a wide range of readers who consider themselves middle-of-the-road kind of people also. The foundation of a good article can convince the reader of their interpretation of the issue using the themes such as representation, ideology, and power. The following presentation will look at one journalist's opinion article on the widely growing societal concerns of child abuse in New Zealand and attempt to analyze these themes of representation, ideology, and power within the writing of the article. Minister for Children Tracy Martin released an opinion piece through stuff.co.nz's Faces of Innocence series in mid-January 2018. Backed up with some basic statistics around child abuse in New Zealand, this article offers the notion that government alone cannot address New Zealand's high child abuse rates. Martin's argument states that children need love and support from all adult-based interactions in their lives. This includes education, children-based social services, friends, and family. In order to provide quality care, adults need to find out what children need from a child's perspective. Government and government policy alone cannot do this. Children need the love and support that communities, family, and friends give to a child in order to see them grow into productive and kind adults, and this is just not possible for government to do. Martin also argues that it takes community to step up when they see a child being poorly or neglected, the emphasis being placed on stepping up and not stepping in. This article concludes with a strong statement that suggests New Zealand society needs to remember that when it comes to raising children, kindness and acts of kindness go a long way. In order to grow into great adults, children need the love and support from at least one adult in their life to get there. So what is representation in the media? Representation plays a powerful role when dealing with media text and the conveying of messages to an audience. In text-based media, such as the article mentioned earlier, the writer's ability to shape the knowledge of their argument is crucial. How specific actions, beliefs, and events get represented in an argument will determine the outcome of how well the audience receives these messages. The stronger representation of understandable and relatable facts presented, the more likely the audience will be to agree with or relate to the article. Minister Martin's article has the qualities of representation that relatable and understandable articles have. Given the statistics presented in her article that 75% of New Zealanders agreed that everyone has responsibility for children and young people in their community, and 49% felt a responsibility to support children and young people that they didn't know personally, it is evident that most New Zealanders are aware of the country's need to protect the youth and offer them the support and guidance needed to grow into good adults. Martin's ability to incorporate percentage-based statistics give the reader a more concrete understanding of where they stand with their beliefs in society and how many others in New Zealand agree or disagree with their position. This article covers most readers' beliefs efficiently by statistically favoring good moral representations and how most readers would potentially fall into this category. How is power used in media's context? As cited by Courteau and Hoynes, the authors of Media, Society, Industries, Images, and Audiences, there is a lot of scholarly literature that support the research findings in which the news focuses on powerful people and institutions. How power is used in media is strategic. Powerful people and institutions can influence, control, dominate, and coerce others, sometimes without conscious knowledge of doing so. With the focus of media attention on the elite and powerful, how things are in real life can be skewed and misrepresented. Using the power one has holds much more value than possessing it, and in some instances, such as Minister Tracy Martin's article, can give leverage to the accountability and reputability of the argument. Power can be perceived in many ways. It can be argued that Minister Martin is using the power of her title to promote her opinions in her article. Surely holding the title of Minister of Children will attract more credibility in the topic of children's well-being and developmental success than not. Alternatively, this article has a unique characteristic in that the bulk of the argument focuses on giving power to the reader. The language used allows the reader to relate and engage with the argument on a realistic level and encourages the participation of everyday people to make a difference in reducing child abuse rates in New Zealand. Martin argues that every one of us has a role to care for the children near us, to support families that are struggling, to intervene, to speak up when something is wrong, and where we can, to provide help. Her ability to provide the reader with a sense of power and ability can be the foundation to change. Empowerment is a key feature to convincing an audience of ideas, and Martin's ability to empower the audience with the idea that they can make a difference is a convincing aspect to the underlying argument. What is ideology in the media? Ideology is a system of meaning that helps define and explain the world from certain perspectives. It builds off individuals' assumptions and understandings about the world, and it is used to legitimize certain interests over others. Some argue ideology as common sense. Coteau and Hoynes suggest that ideologies usually do not appear in media text because writers and producers consciously want to impose their value system on audiences. Writers want to target audiences and give them things they think the audience wants to read or see. This is often why controversial ideas and images are left out of the media. Journalists want to sell their ideas to the reader without offending or upsetting them along the way. Minister Martin's article uses language that crafts this notion well. The headline reads, "We need to get over our anxieties about helping children," which is a gentler way of saying that the people of New Zealand need to stop turning a blind eye when it comes to the abuse of children we don't personally know. The proposition of helping society work together to solve this epidemic rather than using accusatory or blaming language is well crafted. Readers would unlikely respond well to an article that was blaming them directly for the issues. But the ideas that Martin brings forward do seem like common sense. She suggests that small acts of kindness go a long way for a child, which, yes, does seem like common sense to most. She reminds readers that all children need at least one adult to love them for that child to grow into a good adult themselves, which again comes across as just common sense for most. The article's ability to remind readers that they do have the potential to help solving New Zealand's child abuse issues is bold. By using problem-solving language through the article and avoiding blaming accusations, Martin's message is easy to receive. The reader is easily convinced that New Zealand society does have the ability to make a difference for those children experiencing child abuse, and Martin's ideologies are met with positive solutions on how everybody living in this country can work together to create a better future for the children of New Zealand. Well-written articles that debate difficult social issues need to cover a range of topics in a delicate way. Minister Martin's ability to convince the reader that solving child abuse in New Zealand is a societal project has the traits needed to convince the reader that this is something they can do. The article combines relatable statistics that are general and easy to understand with what seems like common sense statements that most readers would agree with. Martin suggests that children just need to be loved by the adults around them, regardless if we know those children directly or not. This love and support will give them the comfort they need when going through difficult times and give families a chance to succeed at being good families. Government and policy alone cannot replace the strength of a community when it comes to reducing child abuse rates. All New Zealanders need to look out for each other and remember to step up when it seems necessary, especially when it comes to the well-being and safety of our country's children.